Many religious and spiritual philosophies pretend to honor the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. However, too many religious organizations eliminate part of that rule to make themselves feel good, and this action ignores the real force behind the words. The proof that this rule manipulation is honored is found in the people who are canonized into sainthood. Take Mother Teresa of Calcutta, for example. Great lady, great Christian, and great humanitarian, who served the world well and deserves to be canonized. But, unfortunately, because of people like her, much of the world leans too far in that direction when explaining what makes a good Christian, what is a good charitable act. And because there are people like her, it frees the rest of us from being involved except for the donating of a few dollars now and then. Important, yes, but not the entire answer. While it is important to assist people so they can keep their strength up, if we cared, really cared, we would be working to install a system which would give them a voice into amending the rules governing their lives. A system that would enable them to fish for dinner rather than beg for it. And we would also be canonizing people who spent their entire life trying to give better tools and systems to all people. Tesla comes to mind. Can you imagine a world with free electricity? In 1985, UN Secretary of the time, Javier Perez of Cuellar, introduced Mother Teresa to the UN as the most powerful woman in the world. Probably very true. What is wrong with any of this, you ask? Well, as important and honorable as her work was, she remained a force of one. Regardless of how many loyal followers she acquired to assist her in her charitable work, she remained, and her organization, important and as valuable as it is, remains a small force in the politics and life of the Indian people. She made a difference to the individuals she touched, but she did not leave behind a tool that could one day set them and others like them free from begging. Did she do good? Yes. Is she and her kind needed? Definitely. But as great as she was, and her organization is, it should be viewed as a bandage applied while the real cure is being installed. A voting system that gives the people of a country the opportunity to be personally and authoritatively involved in the politics that affects their lives. It's true, most of the people attended to by Mother Teresa's organization would never be able to vote today, even if they could. But their extreme poverty is characteristic of other poverties, especially the voter poverty experienced by people around the world who do not have a solid voice in directing their lives. And basically, that is all of us not found within the inner circles of government. If I am the only one who is yelling the need for a better voting system, I too, like Mother Teresa and Tesla, remain a force of one. But in my case, it is the elite of the world who benefit, as long as all of you keep my system as a force of one. Our inability to direct our governments is not unlike helping the poor, but our free handouts to government, besides expensive sandwiches, is our continuing to give them permission not to listen to the people they serve after they are elected. On the other hand, if everyone insisted on the Barnes theory of voting with its voter-empowering value vote ballot, and through that insisting won the right to use that system of voting, politics would no longer be a force of one, or the force of the elite, but rather it would be a force of the people. With this tool, the people could and would often feed themselves, no longer forced to wait for handouts from the elite, from the religious, from the politicians. Most equivalent Mother Teresas of politics are not saintly, far too big a risk to rely on their input alone. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you would be an annoying and unacceptable rule to most Christian leaders and politicians if they, like the poor, were forced to wait for handouts from other people or organizations who act like Christians, making all the poor wait to be hand-fed, and knowing that even with all their efforts, they will feed only a lucky few. But in that feeding of the few, the remainder of the world feels satisfied. The Christians of the world, the elite of governments, feel satisfied. This is exasperating for the poor because every hungry person knows if given the applicable fishing rod for their area, they would have the ability to fish and could therefore look after themselves. And the first and most important fishing rod all poor people require is the one that has a direct line to government, a line that would give them a voice. But Christians won't do this, because they would lose that feel-good feeling if the poor did not need them. They would have to redefine what it is that makes a great Christian. They would have to find new problems to solve, and the new ones would not necessarily be as convenient for finding self-glory as is found in the feeding of a hungry person. Feeding hungry people will always be necessary, but it should not be necessary on the scale that our laws and rules keep it today. Politicians won't give the people voice, because they like not having controls over them. Over the centuries, societies have set up organizations and policies which reflects a time when survival itself was a miracle, and when most situations were explained through superstitions, and often solved through aggression. This makes modern people easy to lead wherever and however those in authority choose. This history has installed in us the false belief that all must be left to those who gain positions of power or leadership, and that whatever system has been advocated by them must be for our advantage. If we are unhappy with this system, we must first break out of this archaic thinking and begin putting into practice what we have earned through evolution, the ability to think for ourselves. This is not to say, if the Barnes theory of voting was installed, that there would no longer be need for people like Mother Teresa. They will always be needed, but not to the extent that they are required today. If those who are poor by wealth, minority, racial, gender, and or any other divider of people, and who are struggling to live life in a reasonable fashion, had a tool which could rearrange the thinking and laws of the powerful, many would not need a handout, and many violent revolutions, wars, and other acts of frustration would be tools removed from the toolbox which society is often forced to use today in order to gain some sense of dignity and freedom for the general populace. How can we do this? How can we demand this better system of voting? Simple. When you step into the voting booth on your next election day, carry a red pen or red marker and draw a line through the name of the person or party for whom you would most likely have voted. Don't throw your vote away by not voting. Don't insult yourself by voting for the least of all the evils. Don't waste your vote by voting for a party that does not represent your political philosophy. Use your vote to demand change. Strike a blow for dignity by drawing a red line on your ballot, a red line through a person or party's name. One red line means nothing. 20,000 red lines means we want change. And while you are waiting for your next election, and after the voting system is changed, continue helping organizations like the Red Cross, Mother Teresa's Sisters of Charity, the Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, and any other organization that fits within your want to help. For helping is what we must do, even after, and especially after, we have helped ourselves to a better future, politically. Thank you for listening. Have a great day. Buy my book and study the concept that is geared with you in mind. Help me establish true democracy for yourself and your children. Then get your friends to do the same. Bill Barnes, developer of the Barnes theory of voting and designer of the Value Vote ballot.